Today we're going to talk about pain. I think the heights of what you want to achieve in life are directly correlated with how much pain you can take, right? Boredom is pain. But when you're bored, you come up with ideas. And that's something I learned about 2 years ago, and it has served me so well, like incredibly in the past couple of years. Pushing your body with exercise is painful. But when you work out consistently, you're in the greatest shape of your life. You feel better every day. You don't have to sleep as much. If you get your diet together, maybe it doesn't taste as good at first, right? Because you're giving up sugar. But once you get out of that, you feel so much better. All these different things. I think as well, on the other side of pain is the greatest things you will ever achieve, right? And this is something that everyone says. But if you put yourself in difficult situations and painful situations, and you push through it and become stronger, you unlock parts of yourself that you've never knew were there, right? A good example of this. This morning, Tyler and I, my best friend and brother, ran a 10-mile race of sorts, just the two of us. Like, we went out to run, and he thought we were going to do like 8 minutes, 30 seconds. He was like, that's my half marathon time. And I didn't really think twice about it. I just started running, and I was like, it's overcast, it's nice weather, no one's on the trails. We will be able to do this a lot faster. So the first mile, 8:15. He's like, okay, we're going a little bit fast. We need to slow down so we can go longevity over speed in the short term. Second mile, 8:15 again. Third mile, 7:40. And every mile after, we just started negative splitting, keep pushing ourselves. He kept on yelling out, you're on something today, and pushing limits today, just saying things like that, right? And we get to mile 5, turn around, we're headed back. I start feeling it. I'm like, man, I got to push through this pain. Tyler starts taking the lead. He's pushing me, and so I'm chasing after him. He's running from me, and it's just this back and forth. And both of us push through the pain. We push past our limits. And instead of doing an 8:30 pace for the 10 miles, we did a 7:38, over 50 seconds faster, almost a minute faster than what we thought we could have done. And for a mile time, 1 mile, that's a big difference. 10 miles, that's absurd, right? That's a concept we'll talk about as well in the future is if you change the story that you tell about yourself, you change your reality, what you're capable of. So we'll talk about that sometime soon. But there's a limit of pain, right? I want to say one more story. The most painful experience I've ever been through could have been about 2 weeks ago. Tyler and I flew to Los Angeles and went to the Coldplay concert, which was incredible. I did not have the money for it, so I learned a valuable lesson to not spend money that you have not yet made. And still, biting the bullet on that one. But regardless, we flew out there. We went for a half marathon the first day, which that was kind of cool. And just so many different things that I learned from this experience. But when I flew back, sometimes on flights, I get the worst migraines. I'm talking like, if you've ever seen the scene from James Bond where he gets like, there's like a drill bit and they like drill into his neck. It's supposed to be like the most painful thing you could experience. It's because it's in your head, right? And so whenever you have something in your head that's painful, that is some of the worst pain that you can experience because like if it's in your leg, you can kind of dissociate from it. Like, okay, it's not going to kill me, right? If I had to chop off my leg, then it's not going to kill me. But if it's in your head, it's bad. It's bad. And so I get these migraines and, about 30 minutes in the air, we hit the peak elevation and my head was just absolutely killing me. My sinus cavity right here. And I start like tearing up and I'm crying and like, it was bad. I was like, Tyler, this is one of the worst ones I've ever had. And like my sinuses were full and I went to the back of the plane and for 2.5 hours, this was going on. And I'm talking like I wanted to puke and I was actually crying pretty heavily. And they gave me like an open seat that was in the back, and the flight attendants were telling me, hey, do this stretch, do this, that, and the other, because they didn't want me to like freak out or pass out or get hurt. And anyways, I used that painful experience. I was like I realized like an hour in or 30 minutes in, I was like, okay, there's nothing I can do, right? I'm not gonna get out of this. I just gotta push through it. And this is a different type of pain that I don't think you should want to go through, right? But I do think that the limit of pain that you can handle is correlated with the amount of success that you can achieve, right? So in this pain, there's this phrase that people use, never waste a good tragedy. And that's for politics generally as a way to get more power. In this context, never waste a good tragedy in your own life. That way you can use it to reorient your life, reorient your steps, and figure out a new path forward. Because sometimes you have to have a massive disruption in order to change your ways, right? So for a couple months now, I haven't been really achieving what I've wanted to achieve. And because I was going through all this pain, I thought about all the times in the past couple months, past couple of years of the things that I was not doing that I knew I should have been doing, right? I was just putting it off till tomorrow, pushing it off. A month went by, 2 months, 6 months, a year, and I was just labeling all these different things that I've fallen short on, that I haven't lived up to, promises that I made that I haven't kept to myself and to others. All the times that I went wrong over the past like 2 years, right? Even a couple of them that were like 3 years ago. And I just started saying like, I'm sorry. Like I'm promising myself like this is the most painful experience I've ever had. Maybe I'm going through this to like purge those things that I have not done. Maybe all those things are catching up to me and they're telling me, you better change your ways or else you will be in a lot more pain than this in different ways, right? By not fully achieving your potential or whatever it is, right? That's a concept that this psychologist that I listen to talks about, which I'll have to talk about that as well on a different day. But I just kept apologizing, and I think the plane landed, and 30 minutes later I was doing fine, and I was thinking about it that night. I was like, that's the turning point. Like that's it. Something clicked in my head, and it was like, boom. I cannot be the same person because I caused that suffering, and it all boiled up all at once. And if I want to fully live out my purpose, if I want to become better, if I want to achieve great heights, massive heights, like the ones I know that are destined for me, then I have to change my ways today. And so that was about 3 weeks ago, and I started running more often, and I'm still living through it, right? Because it's a new lifestyle. It's not like an overnight change that and that was the day that it all my dreams came to fruition, right? But I have a noticeable change in my way of life, in my day-to-day happiness, and I started taking on more responsibility. I was like, okay, these are the things where I haven't taken on responsibility. Let me start chopping away at them one at a time, because that altogether is the load that I have to carry. The times where I haven't taken on responsibility, it's becoming like something that I have to pull with me. I'd much rather have something ahead of me that I get to push than have something that's dragging me down that I have to pull, right? And so I got to get rid of those one at a time, take one stone out of my backpack one at a time until I'm able to start putting these responsibilities into the future that I can push those responsibilities, right? I'd much rather fight for something than have to be dragged down by something, And so that's the gist of today's thoughts, is that the heights that you will achieve are correlated to the amount of pain that you can take and the amount of responsibility that you can take. So start finding ways to take on more responsibility in your life, live up to the promises that you make to yourself, right the wrongs that you've done in the past. Don't waste a good tragedy in your own life, right? If you know that you've done some things wrong and that you haven't, repented the things that you've done wrong, and not in like a spiritual sense or like a religious sense, but just in general, like a moral code of life. If you haven't repented the wrongdoings that you've done in the universe, or whatever you want to call it, that sphere, that category, start checking them off. Start repenting. Start changing your ways, because if you don't, you'll be creating a living hell for your life. And that's the worst thing you could ever put yourself through. I know you have this. We got this. We got this. Life could be a dream. I'll see y'all tomorrow.